So you want to achieve a science victory and go to space? Well, here's all you need to know about winning the space race.
Yes, please, space.
This strat can be performed by basically any civ, so in order to keep it simple with leader abilities, I'll be playing as Germany. If you're new to the game, I highly suggest picking them as well, and before we start, here are the game settings I used.
Let's roll.
Turn 1, after loading in, I want you to keep a lookout for high adjacency campus spots, those being around mountains and geothermal fissures. Additionally, look for a city spot with a lot of hill tiles in range. Preferably that's gonna be your capital or second city. And last but not least, I suggest you settle at least one town on the coast by the end of the Ancient Era. All of this is preparation for the future, which will make our space race go way smoother. In terms of an early game build order, I usually build 2 scouts, followed by a settler, or 2 if I get lucky with a pantheon, a monument, and then a builder who I purchase with gold. Feel free to do the same. Keep in mind though that this has one glaring weakness, so if you want to avoid it, either build or buy some extra warriors and slingers. You will want a campus as soon as possible, so writing should be one of the first texts you research. And obviously if there is a feature blocking the spot, research a way to remove it first. You could opt for a holy site as your first district. Religion is a great tool to support your victory type, especially when you're playing someone like Arabia or the Khmer. However, if you do that, you risk not getting an early great scientist, specifically Hypatia. Hypatia's bonus provides an additional +1 science for your libraries. And sure, it doesn't sound like much, but this ability only grows in value the more cities with campuses you own. I suggest always trying to go for Hypatia. However, it's not that big of a deal if you miss her. There are 2 extra scientists who provide a similar bonus to higher tier buildings, and like I said, religion is also a strong way to support your science gains, mostly because it unlocks the overpowered monumentality golden age as a plan for expansion. But what do you do when you choose not to go for a religion? Well, first of all, get a government plaza and then build an ancestral hall within it. This, combined with the colonization card, will double our production when building settlers. Couple this with Magnus's provision promotion and you'll be printing new cities every couple of turns. Now, talking about early game civics, you should get political philosophy as quickly as possible. However, I suggest you take a small detour to grab mysticism first, to unlock the Oracle. Easily one of the best wonders in the game. Remember how much I praised great scientists? Well, this bad boy will double the amount of great people points your city generates, making it way easier to obtain them. I managed to get it thanks to Magnus's base ability and a little bit of deforestation. I like using my first few governor points on Magnus, but once I get into provision and maybe surplus logistics, all of the remaining points are going straight into Pingala. I mean, just look at him. Science, culture, grants, which works really well with the Oracle, and on top of that, he will speed up space projects in the late game. After political philosophy, pick whichever tier 1 government you want and head straight for recorded history to unlock a policy card that's going to be a mainstay. Natural philosophy, which doubles the adjacency bonus of our campuses, making them even juicier than before. Once that's done, head straight for defensive tactics, which will unlock the second wonder on our bucket list. And speaking of defense, believe me when I say that I really tried getting into an early game conflict. I even put some aggressive civs this game to increase my chances of war, but nope, everyone loves Fred, except for Poland, unsurprisingly, but they were too far away to be a threat. So in order to show you how to defend an early game war, let's take a look at a different game. For no particular reason, we're gonna drop whatever we were researching in favor of masonry. In addition, we will build some extra warriors and slingers. If you feel like war is inevitable, start raising walls around your cities, preferably before the war happens. Okay. Current objective? Survive. Delay and hold off the enemy until your walls are finished. Rule number 1 with defending in Civ 6 is positioning. I intentionally settled this city behind a river and fortified my melee units on hills or in the woods for extra combat strength on the defense, while constantly attacking with my slinger within the city. And hell, if your scout gets caught behind enemy lines, fortify him in hills with a forest, that way he will put up a fight too. Once you get to your walls and archers, the siege is pretty much over. The AI looks scary, but their strategy is comparable to a general 2 years from retirement. Run at the enemy, try not to get killed. And boy are they bad at that second part. If you still feel unsafe or are worried about future wars, set up an encampment facing the enemy's border. Shove another range unit in there and you'll pretty much be... Now let's get back to the previous game. Where were we? Oh yeah, defensive tactics. It unlocks the mausoleum at Halicarnassus, hence why I wanted you to settle a coastal city. This wonder will grant our great engineers an additional use charge, which is absolutely massive for someone like Da Vinci, and the additional years are always nice to look at. Now, back to the tech tree. After researching harbors, you should immediately rush to apprenticeship to unlock industrial zones, or in our case, Hanzas, which are just IZs on steroids. I would suggest getting one in almost every city, especially as Germany, and in doing so, you pretty much have a monopoly on great engineers. And to boost the district even further, pick up the Guild Civic to unlock the Craftsman policy, which doubles the adjacency bonus of IZs. After getting apprenticeship, take a few steps back and make your way towards machinery. This tech will unlock another S-tier wonder we want to build, Kilwa Kisawani, which works as follows. If you're a suzerain of, let's say, 2 scientific city-states, Kilwa will grant you a 15% boost to science generated in every city you own. The same rules apply to different types of city-states too, so when going for science, prioritize suzerainship of both scientific and industrial city-states. Once you unlock Kilwa, it's time to go straight for another main attraction in our tech tree, industrialization. Researching this will unlock factories and power plants, boosting our productivity even further, as well as revealing coal, which you can use as fuel to power up your late game buildings. Except, who am I kidding? No, you cannot. This game is determined to never give you any coal tiles within your empire, while your neighbors are going to be literally swimming in it. There are 2 ways out of this situation. One is to borrow some cities that have coal within their tiles, or to have a settler travel to the far lands just for a smidge of that luxurious resource. Going towards the fun option. However, you risk tarnishing your reputation for warmongering this late into the game, especially if you target someone who you used to be friends with. The safer option is to settle for coal. It's more boring for sure, but even if there is a small risk that your friends will turn into foes, I would recommend sending a settler on a hitchhike. Just make sure to send a military unit along. Putting the coal issue aside, industrialization unlocks the Wonder, Roar Valley, and while you could technically ignore building or the previous ones and still do really well, this one you should not ignore. It's the whole reason why we were searching for that city spot with a lot of hills around it. While you are building up the industrial heart of Germany, start researching rocketry to finally start making progress in the space race. Now begins the boring part of the science victory. At this point you should be running away with your science, and if you played it well diplomatically, war should not be a concern at all. All you need to do is keep researching and launching more space race projects.
Liftoff! We have a liftoff!
At least with the way we played up to this point, they're gonna be going really quickly, but still. The last few turns of the space race are an absolute snooze fest. Now this next step might happen before your first space race project or much after. It all depends on how much culture per turn you have. Regardless, sooner or later you will unlock ideology, which will give you some new useful policy cards, but also it will allow you to unlock a tier 3 government. Seeing as we're going for the space race and value production, it's obvious that we need something to bond our people together to achieve a common goal. Something that will help with our research as well as productivity. Something like democracy. What? Okay, hear me out. Democracy gives us a discount on gold purchases, which is how you build up freshly settled cities in the late game, but also it boosts our trade routes to allies significantly, giving each of them +4 food and +4 production. All you need to do is send all of those trade routes from your main city, so that it can get all of that sweet production, speeding up our space race projects. So we launched the Earth satellite, followed by the moon landing, a colony on Mars, and then the exoplanet expedition. After which we continuously launch laser stations to help them travel the required amount of light years. And once they reach their destination, victory is ours. Hopefully after this video, you'll win your space race without much issues. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.